So this morning I got the idea that I should talk about what I mean by traveling artist, because if life is a journey, then my journey has been through research for what I have inside of me, to the creative side of me. Um, I didn't have a family. I guess I wasn't. I mean, I mm, wanted one, and I was very naive. Um, I was didn't have a plan. I mean, some people have a plan. They have it in their heads that they want something, and they go for it. I wanted three children. I have a nice normal family, like my parents were married for 50 years, and I wanted to be like them, but that didn't happen because it was because of the country that I was living in, Iran. So I, because of that country, I started to paint, and this here, I started it because of the love of a pen. I loved the rotring pen, which is an architect's pen, and I loved the paper, the feel of it, and um, sensation, basically, of putting color um, to paper. So that was a journey in itself. Um, and I thought I could stop time by um, by putting pen to paper and creating something I didn't know uh, the outcome of it. But I started at one point and just kept on doing something, and then a whole picture came out of it. And this painting, for instance, was got I got my inspiration also from the palaces in um, um, I saw in Isfahan, for instance. There's a palace that is made of um, mirrors, little pieces of mirrors stuck together, in it's beautifully artisan work, beautifully done. And I mean, it's a beautiful, beautiful palace and room. When you walk into it, it's all mirror work. So I think I got this. I mean, it looks like that palace. These were um, two pieces of paper. So I started from one, and then the idea of the round thing was very appealing. So I started doing that, and I didn't know what I was doing. So um, this was actually a second painting, because the first painting was this one here. Um, I mean, this one took a long time. I think around a year to do this, to finish it. Back then I was in London as a student of biology and A levels. I had A level biology, A level economics, and English. And I didn't study it at all. I was just like, oh my God, I can't stay on the books. I was so excited about everything. And so I was painting, and this painting, instead, I started off in Pakistan, because I met somebody who had black hair and blue eyes, and his name was Sohail, and he was gorgeous. And I thought, oh my God, I think his eyes are so expressive. Um, and so, I was inspired to do this painting about the eyes, and the depth of what they're saying and stuff like that. I wasn't really a materialistic person, to think, oh, I should get married to somebody, but I did try, I did um, um, want to find stability, but it just didn't happen because of interferences, because the revolution happened, and I think I wasn't really interested anyway, in getting a. I mean, I was more interested in painting, and stability. Well, it was not going to happen that easily, but I did get inspiration from biology, and that was, for instance, in this picture. I was reading this book about two scientists who were in Cambridge, and they were they had a Kirk, I think. One of them was called Kirk. I mean, it's a very uh, short book about how they could finally get a picture of the DNA, the helix, the double helix, in the DNA, the DNA strand. And the fact was that it was in Cambridge, people were partying, and I love that atmosphere and everything. And then these two came along, and there was also a woman who was actually the main protagonist, who was doing all the pictures, and she died of cancer because she was taking all these radioactive pictures of the DNA. I can't remember her name now, but there's a they got the men got the Nobel Prize, but the woman died before all this. Anyway, so it means that every cell has this double helix, and so if anything is created, it's always going to involve the genetic material. I mean, isn't that more exciting than anything, than getting drunk and partying and all that stuff? I mean, it's very mind-boggling how, um, these things are actually going on around us for free. There's this abundance that is happening, and we are quite ignorant of it, looking at Netflix and so on. We're trying to work out, what life is all about, but it's here, this is it. And, all these roots and things, and so, the complexity of everything. Well, this was in England. I was working on this. This picture was bought in Italy by a friend of mine who I met at university, because I went to Italy when I was 25, and I was studying languages at University of Florence. And then I met Marina Diazio, who was a girl from Puglia, and she was from Germany, Italian, who had just come back to Italy again to live, and so she was very open-minded, and so she bought this picture, and she was a supporter of my art for a long time. Now it's 2026. 2026, I mean, it's absolutely different world today. After the fall of the wall of Berlin in 89. Um, so, I wouldn't be able to have created all this before. I mean, now, before there was more tranquility and um, not so many competitors in the art world. So, anyway, this picture um, is a sort of a travel, but in my own existence, here I am in this world. As a philosopher said, we are tourists in the world. We come for a while, we look around, don't understand anything, and everything is history, billions of years, and we just try to make sense of it, and then you live and you die, without um, uh, unless you're religious and you pray to the creator of it all, and glorify him. So I did this picture. It was in Via delle Cinque Giornate, and it celebrated the the sort of abundance of everything. Um, I was living in an apartment. This was later on, because I had been living in England, in London, studying, and then went to art school, went to St. Martin's, and then um, didn't finish that. Then went to Pakistan, and then came to Italy, and in Italy. I found this apartment and I did rent control on it, and I was staying there, and I feel so badly about it now. But um, you know, I I lived there for 15 years in that apartment, and it was a godsend because um, at that time um, I uh, wanted to go to university and get a degree and paint and all that stuff, and so I did that. But it was years of loneliness. I mean, um, I was hoping that in the future my efforts would pay off in some way, but the payoff was not so good. The payoff was in doing them, um, doing the dream and making the dream come true. And so um, basically, I don't think that anybody else should follow my footsteps, especially women. I mean, why should a woman waste her time um, in making pictures rather than making a family? And in fact, one of my Scottish friends, Jackie, she was saying, "Oh, you're stuck to your canvases, you." And she was so outgoing and um, warm, and in fact, she was first with the Iranian fiance, and then she married a truck driver, I think, in Scotland, and had 3 children. And so I always remember Jackie for that. I used to have friends um, in my 20s and 30s who were not um, who were not into painting or anything, but I was the only one who had this fixation And so here I am today at 67. I think this is my legacy, for any young person who is wanting to do something, explore the mystery of creating things, because out of nothing, you just start from one place, and then it carries on doing its own thing. So you notice I have these rounded things. I like to. It gives me a lot of um, you know finished. You know, the finished thing is good, and I also like the square a lot, and I use the square a lot. Um, so what can you do? If you're not human, I'm not a robot, but nearly. I like planetary stuff. I don't like to sit and talk to people and discuss things that cooking and stuff like that. I like to dream about um uh what's what's around us, what's going on. I mean, this is for me. This was my bedroom then, and I had all my canvases all around me, and the only thing that I miss a lot from that time is my cats, because they were mm, the warmth that I needed. And still today I miss them a lot. So this painting, I was doing this in Via delle Cinque Giornate, and I sold it in Dubai, and and then- and a gallery called Arte, um, sold it. Um, this painting was disappeared in Dubai in the same gallery, and that gallery closed before I could do anything about finding my painting back. And so that was kind of um, very mysterious. This painting here is a big one, actually 2 meters by a meter and a half, and I sold this one as well in the same gallery. So that was a good period for selling paintings. Dubai, it didn't pay me that much, but it was okay. I mean, I was just glad to put them somewhere, because a lot of my paintings I left in, which I didn't sell, I left in Spain in a house I bought in 2010, um, and which I left. Um, um, so you see, traveling, yes, I wasn't traveling when I was in this house in Via delle Cinque Giornate. This is a painting that I did um, of the unknown, the mysterious. Um, um, Laylat el Qadr, they call it the night of destiny, because strange things are on the boil. I mean, we don't know what's going to happen, really. I mean, with all the we plan a lot of things, and then somebody like Mr. Trump comes along, and he has his own ideas, and he takes the president of a country, and takes over that country by just walks in. So you don't really, there's no stability, there's no world order today, and 2026. the world is going to fall over, stumble upon on itself. And so, we've got to do whatever we have to do right now. Mm, and I'm glad I did these paintings. And today I'm making this because you don't know, really. I mean, I don't know how long I'm going to be, able to um, have to do my um, uh, the things that I'm doing now, like traveling and um, and not painting. I mean, I don't paint right now, I make little reels. This one I wanted to say is a reel dedicated to painting and painters and ideas, because there are women who don't necessarily have the inclination to make a family. They would like to do something else. um, Ideas, for instance, are important to them as well. I mean, there are people who are interested in music, the people who are interested in books. In fact, I must do one thing, which is, I mean, this one painting is about how I was. I had a huge drive, let's say, um, and I could have. I had all the liberty to have many uh, um, relationships and things, but I didn't. I dedicated myself because I was always second class in a relationship, never a first, and so never the position I wanted to be in. And so first class was being creative and doing things that made me happy rather than, complicate my life. But I realized that everything is procreating. I mean, procreation is at the bottom line, that's all you have, really. Um, and that's where it's all happening. And so the Epstein files today, well, it doesn't really, surprise me. I mean, for goodness sake, young women, they abound, but there's no, um, there's nothing that regulates. I mean, this thing in the West. In the East, yes, people get married. That's what happens in the East, But in the West, um, there's teenage pregnancies. That's what it's all about. It's all unregulated. So, it is a blessing to be able to be creative when uh, you could do, uh, you could waste your time really on doing things that you really don't want to do, like looking after children um, and other people. So, anyway, this is my uncle. He was a traveler. He traveled in Japan. He traveled in far off places, mostly in Italy, in India. I mean, my family was really born in India, so they were all Indians and, in a sense, but Iranians as well. Um, and Mehrdad Mehrin, he was um, writing about his travels and things. And so he brought this book about Michelangelo and Italian art to the house, and that was why I um, I was fascinated. Um, and he gave me a pen. He gave me a pen as in, as a gift. Write. That's what he was saying. And that was so kind of him. I really appreciated. So I wanted to say that instead of writing, I painted. And this is my idea about time. I took this painting to Berlin and I left it there. And I don't know what happened to it. But it's about, time lapses and different times and different places. So I was interested in how to spend your time. You can spend your time in so many different ways. But I was interested in stopping time, you see. And I didn't make any paintings about people, but, I did this caricature